Hi, everyone. Good morning and peace be with you. It's Wednesday, January 26th. It's a beautiful, snowy day outside as I'm recording this, and we're joining together in our Upper Room Daily Meditation. You can find these videos in three places: on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter by searching for Gull Lake UMC or Gull Lake United Methodist Church. Thanks as always for being with us. I hope this finds you healthy and warm today. The title for our daily devotion is Past, Present, and Future. Mark chapter 11 reads, Jesus said, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." The full reading comes from Acts chapter 12, verses 6 through 17. This is Peter delivered from prison. The very night before Herod was going to bring him out, Peter, bound with 2 chains, was sleeping between 2 soldiers, while guards in front of the door were keeping watch over the prison. Suddenly an angel of the Lord appeared, and a light shone in the cell. He tapped Peter on the side and woke him, saying, "Get up quickly." And the chains fell off his wrists. The angel said to him, "Fasten your belt and put on your sandals." He did so. Then he said to him, "Wrap your cloak around you and follow me." Peter went out and followed him. He did not realize what was happening with the angel's help was real. He thought he was seeing a vision. After they had passed the first and the second guard, they came before the iron gate leading into the city. It opened for them of its own accord, and they went outside and walked along a lane, when suddenly the angel left him. Then Peter came to himself and said, "Now that I am sure that the Lord has sent his angel and rescued me from the hands of Herod and from all that the Jewish people were expecting." As soon as he realized this, he went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, whose other name was Mark, where many had gathered and were praying. When he knocked at the outer gate, a maid named Rhoda came to answer. On recognizing Peter's voice, she was so overjoyed that instead of opening the gate, she ran in and announced that Peter was standing at the gate. They said to her, "You are out of your mind," but she insisted that it was so. They said, "It is his angel." Meanwhile, Peter continued knocking, and when they opened the gate, they saw him and were amazed. He motioned to them with his hand to be silent, and described for them how the Lord had brought him out of the prison. And he added, "Tell this to James and to the believers." Then he left and went to another place. Amen. Well, a very provocative passage. The message, I think, here, we don't hear this story of Peter being delivered from the prison by the angels very much, and that's because we don't spend a lot of time in certain portions of the book of Acts. Of course, we went through the whole second chapter of it last fall, but that Peter story, we don't hear very much. The takeaway from that story is that Peter is delivered, and it's paired with the Mark reading here because it's all about asking and being delivered, seeking and finding, right? So God meets us where we are again. The meditation today comes from Bill Kirkland, who's writing from Indiana. When my wife was hospitalized after a stroke, a church group gave her a blanket embroidered with her name and Mark 11:24. When I looked up the verse, it gave me hope. Along with our friends in our church, I was fervently praying for my wife's complete recovery. When she died 7 weeks later, I was grief-stricken. Not only did I lose my wife, but our prayers had not been granted. I felt like I had failed. Surely if I had been more faithful, God would have healed my wife. Such a problematic stance that so many of us need to be liberated from. For years I've wrestled with this verse. The mix of past and future tenses is puzzling. I believe prayer changes things, but this passage teaches me that our prayers are never just about the future. Praying conforms us to God's will in the present. We are comforted in this transformation by looking to God's faithfulness in the past. Further, like the disciples in Acts 12, sometimes we don't immediately recognize the answer to our prayers. I'm still mourning the loss of my wife. But slowly I'm beginning to appreciate the profound ways God answers my prayers. ways so amazing that I don't always understand them. I've come to accept that God doesn't require my understanding, just my steadfast, faithful confidence in God's love for me. Amen. That's a very powerful meditation. So, I'm beginning a part-time chaplaincy program here down at Bronson, and in almost every patient interaction that I or any of my colleagues there has had, if it's a person of faith, there are some folks that don't desire any spiritual care, and that's fine. But if it's a person of faith, that person is always struggling with the idea that because something bad is happening to them or to their loved one or something, it means that their faith in God isn't enough. Or that if their prayers for healing don't work, that it means their faith in God is not enough. And it frankly makes me kind of angry that this is the image of God that the church has managed to communicate to the world over the years. Because that just simply is not how God works, and we all know that. And yet we still need permission to let go of this understanding of the transactional healing nature of prayer. I believe in the healing power of prayer, but Bill is right on point that prayer is about transforming us and inviting God's presence into our hearts in the moment, more than it is about a petition for something that we want to happen. God intervenes in the world in subtler ways than that. So anyway, that's my soapbox in response to this meditation today, which I think is a very powerful one. I'm not, as with all of my sermons, no one must agree with me on this, but that's my pastoral perspective, and I hope that is at least helpful for you, or maybe invites you to continue your discernment about what prayer means to you. The prayer focus for today is for those who have lost loved ones. So let's raise up all those, both in our congregation and beyond, who are grieving. Dear Lord, help us to see the ways you have guided us in the past, and grant us faith to trust our futures to you, no matter what is happening in the present. Amen. Well, I won't add too many closing thoughts. I've sort of spoken my piece for the day. So I hope, as I said, that it invites you into a more open understanding of what God's will for you is, how deep God's love for you is, and how God operates in the world, because it's not always the way we think it is. Prayer matters. Prayer absolutely matters, but not always for the ways that we think. So God heals us in unexpected ways. So thanks for joining me today. We'll have another daily devotion tomorrow, so make sure you like, follow, and subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Again, stay warm, stay safe, and God bless you all. Bye-bye.